Welcome to Conversation with the Community Leader, brought to you by the Leadership Kitsap Foundation. I'm your host and Leadership Kitsap alum, Dave Walters. With me today is Mike Bush, Executive Director of Communications for the Kitsap Humane Society. So thank you for coming, Mike.
Thank you.
Founded in 1908, the Kitsap Humane Society is located in Silverdale and has been rescuing, rehabilitating, and finding homes for animals for over 100 years now.
116 this year.
116. The Humane Society has become one of the leading animal welfare organizations in the Pacific Northwest, serving as a nationally recognized model for their industry. We have so much to discuss, but Mike, before we get into Kitsap Humane Society, let's talk about you. Where are you originally from?
Just across the water here, Auburn.
Oh, at Auburn, okay.
Grew up in Auburn.
And then, so where did you go to school?
Went to Auburn Senior High School, go Trojans. Went to Central Washington University in Ellensburg, go Wildcats. And
so what'd you major in at Central?
Journalism.
Journalism, okay.
Yeah, and after that I had an internship for journalism and realized very quickly I was an okay writer, but a really lousy journalist.
Okay.
So had to find something else to do with that particular degree. Ended up, do you remember Pay and Save drugstores?
Absolutely.
So I wrote, started off as a proofreader, but had a very nice man there that had been a copywriter for a lot of years and taught me how to write for radio and TV, and ended up in the advertising world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So where did you go from that then?
So Pay and Save got bought out by a corporation, so I was out of a job. And then I ended up working for a company called Northern Life Insurance Company that was a fairly big Northwest insurance company, and they were quickly bought out by what was then ING and is now Boya, I think, yeah. So I worked with them for a while. I was their senior copywriter, writing about all the exciting insurance and tax-sheltered annuities and things like that. And then 9/11 happened, and ING was responsible for something like $3 billion in reinsurance claims on the Twin Towers. So they ended up closing some of their offices around the country, and the advertising group was one of them. They moved our group out to Westchester, Pennsylvania. So I was out of a job again. And so let's see, after that, I'd been doing freelancing for a few years, just freelance speech writing and advertising writing and things like that. And one of my clients was the Venetian Resort down in Las Vegas. And I got a call one day and they asked me to come down and be the creative director. So went to Vegas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's kind of a unique spot.
Yeah, it was big fun. It was a really exciting place to work, lovely people. Got to do some very interesting things and meet some interesting people, and yeah, it was.
So how did you get from the creative director there to Kitsap Humane Society?
Oh well, so I was in Vegas for about 6 years. And initially, I had only thought to stay for about 2 years, get a nice line on my resume, and move back to the Seattle area. And but it turned out while I was there, the Venetian had bought a block of property on the Vegas Strip, and they were building the Palazzo Resort. So I stayed around to do the branding for the new resort, and also some resorts in Singapore and China. It was too good of an opportunity to walk away. So I ended up staying 6 years. And then my little sister, who is a teacher here in town up at Clahoia, she had...
Clahoia.
Am I saying it wrong?
Yeah, I'll fix it.
I have a t-shirt and the whole bit. Yeah. But she had kids. She had twins, Marnie and Garth, and I wanted to come back and be an uncle. Okay. So moved back to Seattle, or the Seattle area, and took a job with the Museum of Flight over near Boeing Field.
That's an amazing museum.
It's an amazing museum.
That is amazing.
It's really an incredible place, and it was one of the most exciting places to work I can possibly imagine. It was, and it's different going from a situation in Vegas where I literally had an unlimited budget to work with. The person that owned the Venetian at the time was a man named Sheldon Adelson, who was I think he was the 14th richest person in the world at the time. And so we had unlimited money.
And then jump to a nonprofit.
Then you go to a nonprofit where you're pinching every penny.
Yeah, it's in the name.
And but yes, the Museum of Flight was amazing. Yeah.
Okay. And then how did you end up over here in Kitsap?
Oh, funny. My sister on her way home one night from school stopped by the Kitsap Humane Society and just wanted to look at dogs. And she saw a dog that she fell in love with, and she called my girlfriend and she said, "You got to come see this dog." She says, "We had a moment." So Sherry and I, that weekend we went to see this dog and fell in love with him. And after you buy a dog, we were living in one of the high rises in downtown Seattle, and you don't want to walk a dog down 12 flights of stairs in the middle of the night. So we wanted to be close to my family, so we moved to Bremerton and got a house over there and everything. And then in the back of my mind, I always had this thing. It was such a good experience with the Kitsap Humane Society that I thought, if that marketing job, communications job comes open, and I kind of kept an eye on it, I'm going to go for that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I wanted to do. I wanted.
That's kind of a unique introduction to a job and a career.
Yeah, it was. It was just such a great experience, and the people were so nice, and I liked the mission. And then when I was here, once I'd lived here for a bit, I realized how well they were integrated into the community and how much the community loved them. And I thought, yeah, I want to work with those people.
Okay, so let's kind of talk about the Kitsap Humane Society. So what are some of the primary roles, besides just dog adoption or pet adoption, of the Humane Society?
Well, I'll tell you, a lot of people are surprised when they find out how much we do. And when I say we, we have some amazing people working there that are so great at their job. I keep saying that they're magical, and they kind of roll their eyes at me, but I truly believe it. It's not, people think of the Humane Society as kind of a doggy jail. Mm-hmm. It is not that. We bring in animals that are strays or surrenders or injured or, sometimes transfers from other situations. And we rehabilitate these dogs. We have a 5-person behavior team that they work with the dogs every day. They're out there. Every single dog gets several walks a day. They have playtime. They take them to off-site play groups where they go down to the beach and they let them meet other dogs and things. One of the problems we're having right now is post-COVID. A lot of these animals were adopted during COVID when everybody was home. And it turns out, because just the way we're seeing in some of the schools, especially dogs were not socialized with other dogs, they weren't socialized with other people. So now as people go back to work and they're surrendering their dogs to us or abandoning them, these dogs have never been around other dogs.
Behavior issues.
A lot of behavior issues. And but our behavior team, they work with them. Our animal care team and our volunteers sit in the kennels with them, and we have a quiet room that they just sit and take time with the animals to ensure that they know they're loved. And like I said, they get the walks and playtime and everything else. And if they have certain dietary needs, we have a vet staff that takes care of that.
Do you just do dogs and cats?
No, God, no.
Okay.
We always have a lot of dogs and cats. This time of year, we're going to have more cats than we know what to do with. But right now, we have a tortoise named Franklin. That was part of a situation where he was undernourished, and I don't know all the particulars of the case, but we have a tortoise that walks around on a leash. We have 2 ferrets. We have a couple of goats. We just built a barn area where we can house larger animals.
And all these animals are up for adoption.
Yes.
After you bring them back to health and socialize.
We make sure that they're ready for adoption. We make sure they're healthy. They get spayed and neutered. And if they're a stray, they stay with us for 7 days before we release them in case their family comes back for them.
Oh, okay.
But we had an emu this year.
An emu?
Yeah. It was
They're big.
kind of a cool situation. Yeah.
So how many employees do you have?
Right now, 72.
Okay. And you have a lot of volunteers.
365 volunteers right now, active volunteers.
And you take youth volunteers as well, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. We just lowered the age of volunteers to 15.
Okay.
Actually, 15 without a parent. We just lowered the age so it can accommodate some of the high school students that are trying to get experience for a resume or qualify for an internship or like a scholarship or something like that.
So that's a great opportunity for youth to kind of do a job, even under 16, can get some volunteer hours and some real life work experience.
Yeah, it's
a great opportunity.
Great experience working with people who really, really know what they're doing. I'll say it again. It's a magical place. They're just wonderful people doing good work.
So, what are some of the causes of unwanted pets?
Oh, it could be anything. It's we have.
I mean, you mentioned the COVID.
Yeah, we a lot of times people, a pet just turns out to be too much for them. Sometimes there's behavioral issues. Sometimes it's a financial thing, which is one of the reasons we just in September opened up the new Russ and Linda Young Veterinary Life Saving Center. Because a lot of folks, if anybody who has a pet, they know veterinary services are crazy expensive. And, our dog recently passed away, but he injured his leg and it cost $11,000 to fix it. A lot of people just can't afford that, and their option is, well, I have to surrender my pet or I have to put my pet down. Mm-hmm. And so at the Humane Society, our whole mission is to keep families together. And one of the ways we're doing it is through this new veterinary clinic. It provides low-cost veterinary care for families who need it. And so, for example, we had a little dog that came in, a little Yorkie, that had been hit by a car and dragged down the street. And this fella took his dog to the vet, the emergency vet, and was told they needed about $6,000 up front. And he's like, I can't afford that. So he came to us, and we did it for like a tenth of the cost. And
now, obviously, you have to qualify for that.
Yeah, you have to qualify. But our own Dr. B, who's just an amazing veterinarian, she put about 50 stitches in this dog and sent him home, and he's doing great. He comes in for checkups, and he's just the cutest little thing ever. But
so, what are some of your biggest challenges at the Humane Society?
Oh, it's the challenges all nonprofits have. We have particular ones. We're very much in need of foster families, especially as we're coming into kitten season, where people who can take animals temporarily and take care of them, nurse them back to health.
Oh, you do that? So the foster families would then get a pet temporarily?
Yeah, we have.
Is that until then they can get permanently adopted? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
They hold on to them. For example, we have this woman. Her name's Karen Mitchell, and she's always got several foster pets, and but there was a incident where a dog was hit by a car in, I believe it was Bremerton, and left behind 6 puppies that were still nursing. And they needed someone to feed these puppies, bottle feed them every 2 hours.
Oh, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, and so Karen took these puppies into her home and she nursed them back to health, and when they're ready to go, they'll come back into the shelter and they'll work with our behavior staff and we'll teach them how to, walk on a leash and do all the things that learn how to be a dog.
How to be a dog.
And then they'll find new homes.
So where does your funding come from?
Largely from donations. Okay. That's our number one need generally is funding, but we get a lot of grants. We get minimal funding from the government. We're not a government entity, but we do handle all the animal control from Gig Harbor to Bainbridge Island.
Yeah, that was one of the surprising things in researching for this, the animal control, because I kind of thought that was under like the sheriff's office.
Yeah,
but
they work very closely with the sheriff's office.
You work closely with the sheriff's office, but the actual animal control person is a Humane Society employee.
Yeah, we have 5 people on staff that that's their gig, and they have great stories. I used to.
That's got to be quite the challenging job.
Yeah, they're incredible. The stories they have to tell, and they're just the nicest, most compassionate people. I've got a great picture of one of our animal control people, Jen Dunlap, that she had brought in this dog whose pelvis was shattered, and I just happened to be walking past veterinary services, and she was sitting on the floor with this dog, just petting him and making sure he was okay. And that's kind of typical of everyone there. Like we talked about, I've worked at a lot of strange places and interesting places. I've never worked at a place that was so non-political, non-toxic. It's like there's no backstabbing. There's no, if something goes wrong, nobody's trying to shift the blame. It's a lot of good people doing good work, and all they care about is making sure the animals are doing well.
So how can the community get involved?
Well, there's lots of ways. Of course, you can donate. You can come and volunteer, and it's not just walking dogs or petting cats. We have people that all they do is they come in and they love washing dishes.
Okay.
And we have a lot of dishes, an ungodly amount of dog bowls and Kongs filled with peanut butter. And then there's we have a guy that comes in a couple times a week and does lawn mowing and pulling weeds and things. But volunteering, fostering, and just coming to our events. We have an annual gala. We have a golf tournament up at Gold Mountain that benefits the organization. That's happening on August 2nd.
Okay, I was going to say that's this summer, right? That's later this summer?
Yeah, and then just like a week and a half from now, Pets Walk over in Paulsbo, and it's like a 5K walk, run kind of thing. But it's more dogs than you will ever see in one place in your entire life. It's just all these people walking their dogs, and it ends up down on the waterfront with a big vendor fair, and there's ice cream and pizza and hot dogs and whatever else. And
oh, fun.
It's super fun.
Super fun. So to kind of talk a little bit about leadership, you already talked about, obviously you get compassionate people that want to work there.
Yeah.
But a lot of that has to do with the leadership, right?
Yes.
And your leadership and their shared mission and vision for how that's going. So how do you and how does the Humane Society continue that mission, and how do you drive it down to everybody?
It's a great question. It's not easy to do, especially in an organization where
you had 365 volunteers. I mean, that's a lot of people.
It's a lot, and everybody cares so much, and everybody loves these animals, and not everyone's going to agree on every decision that's made, and there's going to be personality conflicts and everything. One of the reasons I took the job is our leadership. They've just been named permanent executive directors, and it's kind of an unusual arrangement. It's Dr. Jen Stonequist, she handles the veterinary and the services area, and Jamie Nakula, who handles operations and philanthropy. And the two of them are just terrific people. And I started to say one of the reasons I took the job is when I first talked to Jamie, I asked her what her philosophy was about dealing with the press, because that's a big part of my job. Dealing with the press and dealing with fundraising and things like that. And she told me that she never wanted to do anything or say anything that she didn't feel comfortable standing up in front of our board, in front of the public, in front of the press, or in front of the staff and having to lie or exaggerate. She wanted total transparency, and she wanted to be completely honest with people. And as you can imagine, my coming from the casino world.
Wow, for the PR guy, that's
it's, no spin.
Yeah.
It's and coming from the casino world, that's an amazing kind of thing to grasp onto. But no, they're amazing leaders. And one of the other things that's always driven me nuts about people is when they say, well, that's not my job. Or I don't like, it's not my job description, or you're on your own. Especially in a small nonprofit, everybody's got to jump in, everybody's got to wear several hats, everybody's, get your hands dirty. And Jamie and Dr. Jen are those kind of leaders. I came in the other day and I was looking for Jamie. I needed to tell her something and couldn't find her anywhere, and nobody knew where she was. She's over washing dishes. She's over washing dog bowls because we were short-staffed that day. And it's to have that kind of leadership that leads by example and so obviously cares about every single person, every single animal there. It's a lovely, lovely
great place to work. So did you have a mentor throughout your career, or various mentors, or who did you use as kind of your example of what kind of leader you want to be, or what kind of leader you don't want to be?
Well, I've had a few of both. I've had some terrific people that I've worked with. Scott Messenger, who is the Vice President of Global Marketing for the Las Vegas Sands Corporation, which owns the Venetian. Very interesting, brilliant man who kind of a legend in the advertising business. And he would always tell me just strange little things. We'd be standing at a big event with celebrities and stuff, and he'd button your coat. Yes, sir. But always be aware that somebody's watching you, especially if you're in the PR world. Dan Hagedorn, who was the chief curator at the Museum of Flight, knows more about World War II airplanes than anybody on the planet. Just a good, honest, solid guy, and just somebody I really look up to. And actually, my partner Sherry, she and I worked together at one point, and she's one of those people that she is what you see is what you get, and she's very straightforward and very honest and very good, and that's what I aspire to.
So what advice do you give someone that wants a career in communications or advertising or PR, I guess, however you want to title that? What do you tell a young college graduate? One, do you have to be a college graduate?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so what advice do you give them for starting off?
Build your portfolio.
Okay.
The biggest thing I could tell someone, first of all, have a skill that, whether it's strategic planning or, in my case, I'm a writer, speech writer, advertising writer. Other people, my old partner Rob, he's a terrific graphic artist, as is my girlfriend Sherry. Have that skill and develop that skill, and then just build your portfolio. If you have an opportunity to do something for an extraordinary organization, but they're not quite paying what you're looking for, do it anyway.
Okay.
You know,
That's
it's a
great
few
advice.
hours out of your life, and you get a piece of something to put on your reel or on your portfolio or on your website, and the next job's going to look at that and go, oh, hey, this guy's got something.
Okay. So not necessarily bounce or move too frequently, but be there long enough to give and to get a lot out of it.
Yeah, and find, try to work with and for people that have your interest in mind. One of the things I've really tried to do, and that I'm very proud of over the years, is I'm very good at recognizing talent and giving them opportunities to build a portfolio or build their career, and the results have been amazing. One of the fellows that used to work for me at the Venetian now has my job at the Venetian. A woman that worked for me at the Museum of Flight is now at, she's the head of marketing out at the big hospital, I can't remember the name of it, out in Kent. And then, a woman that used to work for me is the head of marketing for Wild Waves. And another one does PR for MGM Grand. It's
So it sounds like part of your success is how you've developed people over the years.
Absolutely, and I'm so proud of these people. They're a good bunch of folks.
That is amazing. Well, I'd like to thank you.
Thank you
for coming and all the amazing thing that Kitsap Humane Society does for our community. It's my pleasure to have this conversation with you. Please visit kitsap-humane.org. And of course, leadershipkitsap.org for more information on these two amazing organizations. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to next time on Conversation with a Community Leader.